There are a lot of personalities and a lot of voices in the personal finance space that can have a positive impact on the way you go about your personal finance journey. In today's video, I'm going to talk about 3 that have had an impact on me and how they've had an impact on my journey. Let's get right into it. Hey guys, it's Jonny, and if you're wondering why my voice sounds a little bit funny in this video, it's because I'm currently battling with a cold. So apologies if I sound a bit weird today, but I'm gonna be all right. Anyways, I got into personal finance about 3 or 4 years ago, and my journey has been very interesting in terms of what I've learned along the way, the voices, the people I've discovered, and how they've influenced my own thoughts and my personal finance journey. By having multiple voices give different views, different perspectives, I've been able to come up with my own ideas and decide what's best for me from a personal finance perspective. So I think personal finance is a journey for everyone that's a little bit different. Yes, there are some generally underlying accepted principles and ways to do things, but how they get implemented in practice and the reasons why they may or may not get implemented in a certain way depends very much on the individual. Anyways, let me start with the first personality that had an impact on my personal finance journey. Now, this is a very well-known person in the US and has changed countless lives through his Baby Steps program, and that's Dave Ramsey. I discovered Dave Ramsey about a year into my personal finance journey. I'd started investing, I'd started taking my money seriously, and I had these ideas here and there, but I couldn't really piece them together. I didn't know how to prioritize what I should be focusing on. And Dave Ramsey's Baby Steps help you from the start of your personal finance journey where you're trying to build an emergency fund, pay off debt, to starting to invest and moving on to being generous in your life. So for me, debt is something that I never really had to deal with too much apart from a UK student loan, which again is a bit of a different story as I've talked about on my YouTube channel. So investing and having an emergency fund were things that I was familiar with, but I didn't know how to prioritize them or what I should be focusing on. And thanks to the Baby Steps, that helped me determine some kind of order, what kind of magnitude I should be having for an emergency fund and how much I should be looking to invest on a monthly basis. In addition, watching the Ramsey Show on YouTube and listening to Dave's advice to many of his viewers helped me to picture how these advice work in practical situations. And as a result, it helped me to develop good behavioral financial habits with my money. Now let's fast forward a year where I'm well disciplined, I've got a nice structure in my head, but I realized that Dave is not particularly a fan of credit cards, nor does some of his advice necessarily make mathematical sense. And as I've talked about in previous videos where I've mentioned Dave Ramsey, it's because Dave Ramsey's approach is more tailored to behavioral finance. It's most beneficial for people who genuinely struggle to maintain self-discipline when it comes to their money. And so by having these baby steps and these general principles and rules, they don't derail financially, let's say. And that's when I discovered the Money Guy show on YouTube, which I almost want to describe it as like Dave Ramsey point 2. Now the Money Guy show is run by Brian Preston and Bo Hansen, who are both partners at Abound Wealth. They are licensed financial advisors at this wealth fund. They release episodes on their YouTube channel weekly where they talk about hot topics in personal finance, also in the US, and they also answer questions from viewers as well. Like Dave Ramsey, the Money Guys also have some kind of structure to the way they set out their personal finances. However, it's a slightly different order and it's known as the financial order of operations. Now, without going into too much detail, the main ways in which this differentiates from Dave is that they're more flexible with how much money you put down on a house. They do accept using debt when it comes to, buying a car or using credit cards as long as you're sensible with it. And they're generally a little bit more flexible and rather than taking a one-size-fits-all approach such as Dave Ramsey's approach. And so although their show and their advice is very US-centric, I was able to, again, take away some principles, some ideas, and put them into practice in my own situation to get the most out of credit cards, to make financial decisions that made mathematical sense and maximized my return on investment. And for me, this really took me beyond the behavioral finance level, and it took me to really maximizing and optimizing my personal finance situation. Because I knew I had the discipline, I know I'm generally smart with my money, and for me, the next step was to really try and maximize my situation the best I could. And the third personality in personal finance that I want to talk about today, I only discovered this year actually, but he has had a profound impact on my mindset and my money psychology, and that's Ramit Sethi. Now, Ramit Sethi is the author of the book I Will Teach You to Be Rich, which I'm currently working through. He also has a Netflix series by the same name, and he has a podcast on YouTube where he talks through his viewers' financial situations. Now, whilst Ramit generally applies a lot of the same principles and ideas that the Money Guy show and Dave Ramsey talk about, he is really focused more on the result rather than the methodology of doing it. And what I mean by that is, if you've read the book or if you've watched the Netflix series, he's all about helping people to create their rich life. His mantra is essentially helping people to spend abundantly on the things that matter to them, i.e. the things that help them build their rich life, whether that's travel, whether that's having a home, etc., whilst cutting back spending mercilessly on things that are less important to them. And for me, this really activated another dimension of my money psychology, because thinking back to last year and early into this year as well, I was at a point where I was doing all of the steps that I needed to maximize my financial input. But that was all that was on my mind, and I felt like I couldn't enjoy my money, wasn't giving myself the freedom to enjoy and spend my money on things that I like to do. As much as I was seeing my wealth, my savings, my investments, my YouTube channel grow, I still felt that, I was missing out on life in a sense. And at my age, my late 20s, or any age for that matter, you shouldn't feel like you're missing out on life. Now, exception being, of course, if you're, trying to get out of debt or improve your financial situation because you're really in a rock bottom. But when you're in a situation where you've got all the steps in place, you're investing, you're saving, you're generally doing good financially, you shouldn't feel bad about spending money on the things you like. Through Ramit, I learned about the concept of guilt-free spending. And so for me, allowing myself guilt-free spending, which is, to spend money on going out to a restaurant, which in my head is something that I actually almost demonized to some extent because of, the way it can quickly eat away at your money. Or going to a shopping center and spending money on a new item of clothing, or going to a basketball game that I might want to watch, for example. You get the idea. And by implementing this, I realized, how much fun that I can actually have in life when I allow myself guilt-free spending and I allow myself to spend money on the things I enjoy. Because that's how it should be. Once the rest of your financial system is working and you've got a solid base, you can enjoy your money to the extent you want. So guys, that's essentially my personal finance journey over the past 3 or 4 years. As you can see, it's been an interesting journey, a lot of learnings and a lot of changes in the way I think about money and how I behave with my money as a result. And of course, beyond these three, of course, there's other people's channels that I've watched and I've gained information from. I just wanted to put these three out here because I believe they're the ones that have had the biggest impact on the way I think about money and the way I behave with my personal finance. Anyway, guys, leave a comment and let me know. Do you still watch Dave? Do you watch The Money Guy Show? Do you watch Ramit? What do you think? So next time, I'll see you on the next one, and let's get this money. And hopefully next time I'll be without a cold.